Paul, how did you, if you look at the way the season started, and you were to assess sort of like where you guys are now, where would you say that meets your expectations?
Yeah, I think for us, the defensive side for us has been amazing. Going away on the road for so many games, still being able to pick up points, really good. Puts us in a really good spot. But I still think, looking back at the Minnesota game, we think we could have got a little bit more out of that one. Obviously, looking at the Salt Lake one, a lot of things we could have done better. And I think at this point in the season, you can't get too caught up in the results. I think it's more about the process and focusing on the good things and what we need to improve. The results will continue to come, but collectively, I think facing a lot of different injuries, guys going down almost every single game, being able to kind of have the next man up mentality has been great from the group. Which, I mean, a lot of us talk about it. I'm sure Coach talks about it. So important for us to have the confidence in each person, and the way that we train prepares us for the way that we play. So when someone steps in, we've been able to make an impact. So overall, I'd say pretty good. I think we still have a little bit of ways to go, but every game is going to be different. Every game is going to present different challenges. So we'll continue to take it game by game.
You've played on a few different teams. What differentiates the sort of, like, every coach I'm sure says next man up, it's if someone goes down you gotta, but there's clearly something going on here that's different, that the players genuinely believe it or whatever. How would you describe the difference?
I think the quality of the players, the depth that we have, the quality that each player brings. During the week we train a lot of the first team as well as the second team, what we're trying to do, mixing and matching the group to be able to make sure that everyone is ready for the opportunity. But also, I think the club's done a great job with the roster to be able to build it like for these scenarios where there's a lot of veterans, there's a lot of leadership, there's a lot of experience, core players, but at the same time a lot of fresh faces. The new guys, the young guys that are coming up from the second team have done a tremendous job, and I think the veterans make it easy for them to integrate, and go right in and make their job easy.
Along the same lines of that, one of the depth pieces, Georgi Minoungou, just gets traded there. I've been around him for 3 years. What did you see from Georgi?
Yeah, look, Georgi, there's no question, is one of the best 1v1 dribblers in the league. No one I don't think will argue that. He was a great guy, great player, and I think it's a new challenge. I think sometimes new challenges and new environments can raise your level, and we're obviously really sad for him to go because of the talent and the specialty that he brought to our team. But at the same time, hopefully for him it's a great move. I know for the club, and also Colorado, it made sense. So at the end of the day, it is a business, and what the club does is what the club does. But as a person, as a player, tremendous guy, and I really hope he does well. I believe he will. I think he'll fit into a really dynamic Colorado Rapids team that we've already seen this year. But no doubt that he'll continue to go well and hopefully get more opportunity.
Well, you talk about guys, new environment, bringing out more parts of the game. Nikola comes over from Charlotte, and what have you seen from him in his short time here this year so far?
Yeah, he's been great. Obviously confident on the ball, being able to play out of tight spaces. Has a knack for getting shots off and making plays. Again, like you mentioned, a new environment can just bring new energy, a fresh outlook on your career, the game, different ways. Obviously, Preki's also Serbian, and for them to kind of be able to be together, I think helps Nikola out a little bit, and he's found his feet really well, and hopefully he continues another young guy that is able to step in and make a difference. So the depth on our team, I think, is real, and it's good. It's a real healthy environment for us to continue to push, and just be ready for what's to come.
Speaking of that depth, obviously for the team being willing to move a guy like Georgi, there's got to be a lot of belief in that winger group, you being part of that. Does it feel like there is that extra confidence in your talents and the rest of those wingers?
Sure. Look, for me, I'm in a different position than I've been in my career in years. But I'm just, trying to stay patient and continue to do what I do. I have a lot of confidence in myself. I know what I, can bring to a team. Like you said, I think, hopefully it shows the confidence in the rest of the guys as well, that we have a really strong group, a lot of guys who have different ways to create and score goals. and hopefully we can continue to do that, as well as helping defensively. Our team is, as much as we are offensive, we're also very defensive, and we work really hard. So being a winger definitely isn't easy. It's not a one-way street for us to just attack. It's coming back and going forward as well. So hopefully we continue to do that. We all stay healthy and we continue to get better.
Okay, what do you expect about the next two games, the MLS and the CONCACAF?
Yeah, I think MLS, obviously, going to Houston is going to be a tough game. They're scoring a lot of goals, but also giving up a lot of goals as well. And so for us, hopefully, we'll be able to get on the end of some goals, but as well continue our defensive strength. And it's a great prep game going into Tigres, obviously. I played in Mexico. I know Tigres very well. It's one of the toughest places to play in Mexico. It's one of the best atmospheres to play. And for us, I think the series is gonna really. The first game is really going to dictate what that looks like, what the rest of the series looks like. Going down there, we'll really have to put our best foot forward against a very attacking, strong Mexican side. But if there's a group that can do it, it's us. I feel confident in that.
Looking back in your career, having those few years at Club Tijuana at the start of your career, how impactful was that, being able to be in that league for a while?
Yeah, it was great. It was a challenge. Obviously, at that point, I hadn't played in MLS. I wasn't part of the national team, and it was all I knew. And so I embraced the culture and being there for so long and facing these teams again, home and away. I had really good moments and we had really bad moments as a club while I was there. So I kind of got a roller coaster of everything while I was there. But again, I think it fits me in these types of scenarios. Having been there, having played there, played in Champions League for a few years in Mexico as well. So having said that, I think it helped propel my career to where it is.
Along those same lines, you saw what happened with Cincinnati, going off and playing in Mexico. What is it about MLS teams not being successful in Mexico? With your experience, what is it that makes it so difficult for MLS teams to win over there?
In Mexico, there's a saying of "colmillo," and it's about the experience and the understanding and the savviness. In my opinion, at times, I think MLS teams are a little bit too naive to think that we can go down there and implement the exact same type of style that we continually play week in and week out in the United States. And the reality is it's different. There's different rules. There's no 10 seconds to get off the field. There's no making a guy get off the floor when they're down. There's so many different things. I mean, we see it all the time from Guzman from Tigres doing his flicks and tricks and all these things. And as much as frustrating that is for some people, that's also part of the game, and that's what South America and Central America can look like at times. So for us, I'm hoping that we go down there and use a little bit of colmillo to be able to figure out the first leg and bring it back and secure another round.